that would keep others skilled from reading his thoughts. Zan could put it back up in a heartbeat if he felt anyone reaching into his mind, but the shield itself would put out a power signature recognizable to any nearby skilled who were worried about being observed. Zan waited beside George, looking down the long stretch of canal to where it spilled out into the sea. It was a misty day, probably too foggy to see the nearby cemetery island of San Michele from the mouth of the canal. On a clear day, even the main island of Venice beyond it would have been visible. Today, though, each of the many islands in the lagoon seemed shrouded in mist, as if they were cut off from each other, alone. There would be more and more days like this as the year went on. A red-throated loon flew overhead, with another loon following it. The birds wove in and out of each other's flight paths, a signal from Zan's sentries that the customers had arrived at Bianchi's. Maria Costa, another member of the council, had reported Bianchi for smuggling illegal alchemical compounds out of Venice, selling them at a markup to skilled in nearby countries. George had warned Zan that Maria had a long-standing dislike of Bianchi because of some pricing dispute a decade before. Zan tried to keep track of all the vendettas and squabbles within his own family, but he didn't have a mind for it. All the petty grievances blended together and slipped through his mind like a sieve. It didn't matter, though. The other council members catalogued each and every slight and made sure he was made aware of them. It was retribution, probably, their way of expressing how angry they were about the larger grievances he'd asked them to set aside. George nodded to Zan. The sentries had dropped their connection to the birds immediately after the signal, as Zan had instructed them. Bianchi would do a sweep of the area with his senses before doing business, and Zan didn't want any stray power signatures to scare him off. He continued walking past a building painted a bright lavender pink. The storefronts here were too close together to pass between, a cramped line of brightly colored buildings lined up like presents for Christmas. Bianchi didn't need a storefront. He made his money selling alchemical supplies to Mardova family members, though lately it seemed he may have been looking to expand his clientele. Up ahead, Zan could see the boat containing Maria Costa and Carolino Russo from the council, getting into place near the intersection of Rio de Vetrai and the Grand Canal. They exited the boat, weaving through the small crowd of people admiring the huge, spiky glass sculpture in the square, the bright blue comet glass star. The council members disappeared from his sight as they got into position in the alley that led to Bianchi's. Zan's personal security guards would be ready to secure the next courtyard over. Zan glanced down at his watch. A minute passed. 2, 3. The deal should be underway now. Sure enough, one of the red-throated loons perched on the roof above Zan, lifted its tail, and deposited droppings right there on the brick near his feet. It was a sentry's signal, one Zan had picked himself, mostly for his personal amusement. From the disgusted expression on George's face, Zan gathered that he didn't share Zan's opinion. "All right," Zan said. "Let's go." Zan put up his mental shield, and beside him he felt George's power signature as he did the same. Together they moved down a side street into a grassy back courtyard. There, just 2 houses down, stood a blond man and dark-haired woman on the steps leading up the wooden balcony belonging to Dante Bianchi. Dante himself stood at the top, hefting a duffel. He just started to make his way down the stairs when he glanced over to the side entrance where Zan stood. Their eyes met. Bianchi clambered back up the stairs, dropping the duffel onto the balcony with a loud metallic clatter. The buyers both kinetically pushed themselves into the air, jumping much higher than any human naturally could, reaching a nearby balcony. The woman landed first, and in a second bound propelled herself onto the roof of the building opposite Bianchi's place, with a man just a second behind. Bianchi ducked back into his shop, and Zan indicated for George to go after him. Then Zan reached out for the swirls of kinetic energy surrounding his body, just as they did everyone and everything, and used them to launch himself onto the roof, following the buyers. His temperature spiked, his body heating up from the manipulation of energy. There were no tourists